God says, I'm near the brokenhearted, right? I'll give you the peace that surpasses all understanding. I'll never leave you, never forsake you. There's a be transformed by the renewal of your mind.
Yeah.
So, what actually leads to, in your opinion, what does the renewal of the mind process look like? Because you mentioned earlier praying, and sometimes people just get over it. But do you think the fact that it generally takes a long time to renew people's minds, that's consistent
Sure.
with the Christian tradition, that it takes a long time?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone thinks that. I mean, even John Wesley in his book Christian Perfection, like he still thinks it takes a long time. It's I think everyone is kind of on this path of trying to, and maybe this would be a good thing to specify. Like, I don't think the arrival, so to speak, is not being disturbed by pain or not experiencing pain or not experiencing distress. I think it's rather that like there's this line that I like from Gregory the Great. He wrote a book on pastoral care. Is that Gregory the Great or the other Gregory? I don't remember. One of the Gregs,
I'm a
the
little
old
rusty on
Gregs.
my Gregories right now.
One of those Gregs. He wrote a book called on pastoral care, and something that he said was for someone to be filled with the Spirit and ready for pastoral ministry, they ought to be stout in fasting. And there's this idea of
Hmm.
it's not even that that pain doesn't affect them, that they're not in pain. It's that they stand stout in the face of it.
Hmm.
And that has been a model for me, like when I think of just my own psychological distress, because I don't know, I'm going through things all the time too. And it's as a counselor, like you're always attending to everyone else's pain while trying to hold your own complexities in life. And I'm feeling like we have our daughter is on the way in March, and
Oh,
she
congratulations.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, my wife's expecting, and there was just a long time where she was really just scared because baby wasn't flipping over. And if you know anything about just like the process of birth, is that the baby needs to be head down, and that's how the baby should go through the birth canal in a way that's really maybe mitigates the likelihood of complications. But if you have a breech baby or the baby is feet down, then that creates a lot of complications that potentially baby could get stuck, and then you need a C-section or what have you. And so it's not the end of the world, but it was really scary. We were just kind of really hoping and praying the baby would flip over, and there was just moments where like my wife and I were just really contending and praying with the Lord, like, gosh, like God, I think maybe just the fear of having a young life in your hands maybe sat on me for the first time. It just in that small instance, it was the first fork in the road where I'm like, oh, something could go wrong with my child that I don't even know yet, but I love so much, and I've just felt the weight of that and felt highly anxious, and so did my wife, and just praying. And I think just the fear of, oh, life is fragile, and she could, like, I don't know, it again, like this might be an overreaction to if you're familiar with the birth process, like breech births happen all the time and people are okay, like, but I don't know, like it was just our first confrontation with maybe just the mortality idea
Yeah.
of this young one, and for whatever reason, like that just really disturbed me for a while. And it's not that that pain doesn't affect me, or that I can immediately have these kind of Christian isms that make it go away, or it's just that I contend with the pain head on. I don't avoid it, and I'm not crumbled by it, but I can stand stout in the face of it, and I can maybe enter into it courageously is another way of saying that, and feel the full distress in a similar way that Jesus felt the full distress of what the cross meant. He was sweating blood. Like, he wasn't trying to shove away any of the emotions. He wasn't trying to cheer himself up. He wasn't even trying to encourage himself. He just was feeling it, but he submitted to the Lord. And then when he was even on trial, he stood in silence. He stood stout is another way to say that, like in the face of all of it. And he attended to things that mattered to him in the pain. Like, he attended to his mother. He made sure that someone was taking care of his mom. He encouraged the man on the cross next to him and said, "You're going to be with me in paradise." Like, he was present. And that's something I think that pain really tries to push us to, is pain tries to push us to all the ways that we can fix what's coming, that we don't know what's coming. It tries to criticize ourselves, that we need to be acting in different ways to mitigate the pain. But I think maybe a Christian model for standing stout in the presence of pain is being fully aware and fully present, both with the bad and the good, and knowing that you're not going to be crumbled by, but you can stand resilient. and experience everything that's coming your way.
Hmm.
And but standing in trust of the presence of God with you.
Wow.
So I don't know.
Thank you so much for listening to Kind of Christian. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review.